on the top shelf. Can't get them down without a telehandler, a forklift, a crane. Oh my god, it's a telehandler. Yeah. Hi. There's a motor in it, but it's not bolted up. But it will be, maybe this week. Maybe it'll even have a transmission on it. But not tonight. Because I got sidetracked on doing other things that were more important on the truck, like ripping the old wiring harnesses out for the electric transfer case and the old engine wiring harness, which are right there. So now that that's all out and all my butchered wiring is out of the truck, then I went on to putting the motor into it. I tried a couple different spots where I kind of thought I might want it, and I ended up here, and it's almost midnight now and I'm just beat. So I got a floor jack underneath it, kind of, that's where it stayed for now. And I'll get back to it and weld up some motor mounts or modify the old small block motor mounts, which I did check. They look like this, and they come pretty close. So I might just drill some holes, or maybe I'll copy these and make some new ones. Maybe, we'll find out. The beautiful stainless eBay Chinese headers, they didn't fit. As I suspected, there are too many interference, not only on the driver's side, but also on the passenger side. It's not gonna work. So they will be used on the test engine stand. So it's in there right now. I think this is as close as it's gonna be. I did have some apprehension, or there's a certain word for that and I don't know it. Let's say reservations about how well the rad cradle was gonna fit with the fan motors that are on it versus this engine. So I went and measured, and it ends up that the fan motors they stick out from the rad like about 4 inches. So normally that's probably not that big of a deal, but it takes up a lot of room, especially in a small truck like this. So I did some measuring, and it's probably gonna work, but I don't, when the engine and the truck and everything was all together before with the LT1, it was a pain to do anything on the accessory drive or your water pump or water lines. I have scars to prove it. So I decided that if I was gonna do this revamp, I was gonna make sure that it was gonna be a lot more serviceable and enjoyable to work on than how it was with the LT1. So I'm trying to make some better revisions, reservations, about how everything all fits together on this. So if I need to change heads, I can do that. If I need to do stuff on the front accessory drive, I can do that. Even I had a good spot, I liked it, the shifter worked and everything, and then I didn't have the power steering pump on the nice painted bracket, so I grabbed this old dirty one and put it on, and there was just, no, there's no way, because it hits the steering gearbox. So I had to move the engine up, and I had to move the engine forward so that this pulley would clear the steering gearbox. I think stock manifolds will work. I have not tested, but we'll check into that before we make our motor mounts and say that this is exactly where the engine's gonna sit. And that's where it's kind of at. This is the end of night 2. Maybe it's night 3. It's episode 2, night 3. I don't know. Somewhere in there. But we will go from here and hopefully have this back up and going before the snow's gone. So maybe we can go and see how well it compares to that turd. And we'll go from there. All right. So I hooked the transmission up to this guy. Now remember, this is a 6-liter. It has a 6-liter flex plate, and this is a 4L60E with a 4L60E stock converter. Okay, let's just keep all that in our brains here for a second. I was under the impression that the torque converters from GM all had the same bolt pattern. Lo and behold, we learn that my light cannot get in the right spot, that it does not work. So, good thing I have spare engines laying around. I will give this to Riley's project and use a 60E flex plate from an 05 motor where this guy came from, and the shorter bolts, and I'll show that once I resplit my engine and transmission again. So I got the engine in the truck. It's sitting there on its own, minus the transmission jack in the back. There's way more room where I've put this engine compared to where the small block was. Here we got room. It's not centered, and all my measurements shows that this engine just will not sit in this frame centered, and even the frame and the cab isn't centered, and it's weird. So I'm not really sure about that. But I can, let's see if I can get up here and get light. Maybe I won't. No, I can't. Here, let's bring it like this. There. So there's lots of room. Man, I can't dual task at all. Yeah, so there's lots of room in the back here. If I ever need to take the engine out again or anything like that, it's easy to do. I have clearance here to the fan box. The dipstick clears nice. All this stuff fits really good. And even, although I forgot to take this strap out, let's just turn the light off, we don't need that. Forgot to take the strap out. It's kind of a funny story because the guy I originally bought it from, he did the same bummer that I did, but he left it in there on the other side. And then it was hooked up to a strap, and he told me it was to hold back all the power of the 305 that was originally in this truck. And this is a few more ponies in the 305 with a, I think it was like an RV cam and a Edelbrock intake and a Quadrajet, which I later put 1406 Edelbrock on. So this is a completely different game, different ball diamond, different sport almost compared to what was in there. So next up is I guess exhaust manifolds and transmission mount, and see how that's all gonna fit. And we'll go